Yeah, good evening, everyone. So, yesterday we learned about triggers and all. So, next, after understanding these MySQL related concept, now another database we need to understand is MongoDB. So, we are going to discuss about MongoDB, how to use and work with MongoDB. So, what are the key points about MongoDB as database is? One major is it is open source and cross-platform, non-SQL, non-SQL or it is open source, cross-platform, non-SQL database. So one of the main concept, you know already meanings of open source and cross-platform. Non-SQL database, it is the database that doesn't require SQL queries. It doesn't require SQL queries. That means without SQL, we can manipulate the data, query the data and all. So without SQL, how you manipulate, query the data? Just like you know how to do it with your JavaScript array. In JavaScript array, you learned array methods. So in JavaScript array methods, actually, so you will learn about different JavaScript array methods where you can filter, find. You have methods like find. You have method like what? Filter. In JavaScript, by using these methods, we can find any element in a collection, in an array. We can search and we can get and return what we are looking for by using these methods. Now, MongoDB works with these type of methods. Generally in JavaScript, to add elements into array, we use push or unshift. Here it will provide simplified methods like you have insert, you have like insert one, insert many. Like this, it provides simple methods for interacting with the data. So no SQL queries. Here we don't need any SQL queries and you cannot use SQL queries. So people call these as NoSQL or non-SQL. You can use any term for that. So another point is it is document oriented. Document oriented. And semi-structured database. It is document oriented and semi-structured database. Actually, your MySQL is structured data. Here it is document oriented semi-structured. Document oriented, I will tell you. So what is the point is in MySQL, when you create a table, suppose our requirement is so user registration, and whatever details we want to store. And for user, we have some 10 fields. User have to fill up 10, and we need to store in our database. Then what we do in MySQL, we will create some TBL users. In this, how many fields we have to create? 10. But actually in this 10 fields, only 5 are required, others optional. That means 5 mandatory, others optional. That means some users may fill, some users may ignore. Then for how many fields I need to prepare table? All 10. We have to prepare table for all 10. Why? Because we are not sure which one who will fill. Suppose one user fills fields, 5 compulsory, others are optional, he filled 2 additional. What about others? Others will be null, na? Others will be null. That means others will be null. So these fields we have to use in the queries. Suppose I want to group, I want to filter, I want to sort. Then actually these fields are also used because we are not sure which one who will fill. That means even user is not filling other fields because they are nullable. They can store null. Optional means nullable. That means unnecessary fields are created for the user. And they are used in queries also, which are not necessary. That will be complex for data. So that is the reason it is structured. Structured means even user is not filling those details, those fields will be there and they will be empty. That is unnecessary space waste in working with data. Now, what is semi-structured database advantage is first user, that means in a table, structured data means in a table, what should happen is first row 10 records, second row also 10 record, 10 fields, third row also 10 fields. All rows must in some fields they will be null. But in a document based database, first row will be 5. Second row can be 10. Third row can be 6. You can have uneven. That means how many fields a user fills, only those fields will be stored. Others are ignored. That means, is it possible to design any table in such a way that every row can have different set of fields? Not possible in MySQL, but it is possible in MongoDB. In MongoDB, every record is considered as a separate table. Every record behaves like a separate table. That means it is structureless. Every record can individually work. That is what they call as every record is called as a document. Every record is a document. Every row is considered as one document. It can individually handle. So it is not, it need not to be related with others. So is semi-structured means structure, not completely structureless, structured, but not fully structured, semi-structured. So can manage semi-structured. Document means document oriented, allows to handle. Schemaless, document oriented allows to handle. Schemaless content allows to handle schemaless content. We can handle schemaless content. So what is advantage is it is actually it supports ORM, which is object relational mapping. Mapping or mapper, you can use ORM. It supports ORM, object relational mapping. ORM is very important and big concept. ORM is very, very important and big concept. So what is the concept of ORM is? I will tell you one scenario here. Actually, in software development, what happens is we are building an application. We are developing one application. So this application is built according to the business requirements. Business requirements. According to the business requirements, we build application. That means according to the client requirements, so we build application. For this application, we need to design database. We need to design database. So database is designed using these business requirements. According to the business requirements only, we design database. According to business requirements, we design the database. So app is developed according to the business requirements. Database is also designed according to business requirements. But earlier, what happens is, so several years back, even today, some projects use that mechanism. Earlier, what happens is, developers actually, we have developers. What developers used to do is, developers used to write the logic. We need to design the logic. And the logic is for the application, and this application have to use the data. Then usually developers used to write for database. Developers write the logic for database. That means before they start designing the application, they start building the application, database must be ready. Database must be ready. Developers have to write for database means there must be database. That means what our project has to do first, they have to build the database. Once database is built, for that database, our developers will write the logic. That means we connect with database, get the data, access and use it. Now, later what is the issue is this database is not completely provided for application according to different business requirements. Then they were facing issues. That means, for example, I will tell you, even today, we have a government related one concept called GST. You know, GST is that. GST is one concept government have introduced recently in recent years. Not very recent, but in recent years, we are using this GST system. Earlier, we don't have that. And Wipro and Cognizant, these people were the partners of GST. That means they are responsible for building that system, GST system, maintaining that system in them. So that system for government, they have to build it. Many of my friends, seniors who are working in software companies, they are in that project earlier. They were in that project earlier. They have more than 15, 20 years experience in software development. They are working in those companies. What is the complaint from them is Indian government is still not clear about the data on GST even today. Every few days, they provide some new data. That means they add some new rules, they add some new data, they add some new requirements, even today. That means it is not finished actually, it is continuously growing. It is expanding. That means GST system started with only limit. Now it is expanding to every scenario, every business. So what is the complaint is they say that it's a very big headache to handle their data. Why it is big headache to handle? Because their data is not finished, still coming. That means now how a developer can design any application where data is still not ready, still coming in. It's not fixed. It is changing. This is the difficult thing to do in software technologies. That means data must be seized, it must be fixed, and for that we write the logic. To overcome this issue in software technologies, they introduced the concept of ORM. What is this ORM technique is developers will not write for database anymore. They will write for business requirements. Developers will not write for database. They will write for business requirements. According to business requirements, only database is designed. So you can directly write to the business requirements, not for database. What is specialty of this is, what is the specialty of ORM is, database need not to get ready. Even database is not there, your logic is ready. Your logic works. That means you don't need to wait for the database to get ready. You don't need to wait for this database to get ready. You can just write the logic because you know the business requirements. How the logic works if there is no database? Do you know what is the specialty of ORM is? Once the logic is written according to business requirements, if database is not present, then it can create database. If data is present, it will interact. If not present, it will create. That is very great. That means you just write according to business requirements. Your application is ready. Whenever data is ready, it will communicate. If data is not ready, it will ask, do you want me to create data? That means you say yes, then it will create data for you. That means developers need not to wait for database. Even database is not ready. Now you see, whenever you are working with MySQL, you will see that. When we write some database logic, if server is down, database server is turned off, it is not on, then you will get an error, server not connected. That means your application will not work. Here also it will not work. The point is testing and complete functionality will be ready. Whenever your database is on, automatically it can create the database. If it is already created, it can interact with the database. That is the specialty of ORM, Object Relational Map. That means developers will not write for database. Developers will write for business requirement. That you will see this practically also. Practically, I will show you in MongoDB. That means you will see that surprisingly, you will write some logic for a database, table name, queries, everything you will write, but there is no database. There is no database, there is no table, but you will write the logic. And when you run that program, automatically it will create everything for you. That means imagine a program creates database for you. It creates tables for you. It puts the data also for you. You don't need to design according to the business requirements. This is a huge advantage for developers in the modern generation. That's the reason now every technology is implementing this mechanism, ORM. And MongoDB perfectly supports this ORM. It supports this ORM, object relational mapping. That means it allows, these days, all databases are supporting, but MongoDB internally have this mechanism, ORM, object relational mapping. So it is a big concept actually. Suppose I will show you. It is a big concept. ORM is a big concept. Entity, yeah. I will just show you a point about it. So this is actually the concept of entity. Actually, this entity concept is, you see, it is what object relational mapper that enables developers. I given .NET because I prepared this for my .NET people. So for .NET learning technology people, I designed this. That's the reason I given their .NET. But actually what is the concept is, it enables the developers to work with relational data using domain specific objects. That means it eliminates the need of most of data access code that developers usually need to write. Developers need not to write for database. Developers need to write for business. This is the concept that works with this framework. That is ORM. So what is that? Object relational mapping. What is advantages of ORM? If ORM is there, then what are the advantages? So actually ORM introduces features like lazy loading, change tracking, identity resolution. All these things are possible with ORM. Lazy loading, change tracking, identity resolution, all these are internally supported. Those you will learn while learning the technology, you will understand all these points. What is lazy loading? What is change tracking? What is identity resolution? You will understand them. So no need to discuss about this because when you are learning, you will understand them. Actual, one simple point I will tell you. Lazy loading, I think we discussed earlier also. Lazy loading means what? Lazy loading means it loads only when it is required. It will not load unnecessary. Such all features are inbuilt available with this technology. So it is good with ORM. It is good with ORM. Another important is actually MongoDB. So supports it supports ad hoc queries. It supports ad hoc querying. I think what is ad hoc querying in last session we discussed. No? Last session means few years back. No? Your faces are like that. Last session we discussed means you are in question mark. Yeah? We discussed in ad hoc querying. Ad hoc querying I showed you just dial. Yeah? I showed you not just dial business. I said that it has 4 crore business. Then how many queries it need to keep ready? Right? What is ad hoc querying? Ad hoc querying allows to dynamically generate the queries according to the requirement. It dynamically generates the queries according to the requirement. That you will see how dynamic queries will work. You will see. Ad hoc querying means we don't need to keep all the queries ready because already it is supporting ORM means database itself no need to be ready. Database itself no need to be ready. It can create database, then it can create queries also dynamic. It can build the queries dynamically. According to the situation, it can build the queries. That is the specialty of ad hoc querying. That means it reduces the efforts of writing lot of queries. Developer need not to write so many queries and keep them ready. Queries can be dynamically generated. That is the concept of ad hoc. That means so dynamic queries are possible by using this mechanism. Not only that, MongoDB internally supports so many features. Internally, MongoDB supports so many features like it supports indexing. It supports indexing. It supports the concept of indexing. Indexing is nothing but already we learned this in MySQL also. What we have seen, is it possible to update any record or delete any record so without a primary key? Without a primary key also we can update or we can delete. How? By default it will not allow. We have to turn the safe mode off. Am I right? If safe mode is off, it allows to do that. So by default, this MongoDB allows. You don't need any safe mode on off. That means directly it allows querying with any index. It allows querying by using any index. That means you don't need any safe mode on off to do. Inbuilt itself, it supports allowing querying based on any index. That means you can query on any index. You don't need just a primary key. So it doesn't require a primary key. Indexing means it doesn't require a primary key. It doesn't require a primary key field. So how it manages is actually MongoDB. You will see that it internally generates a key for every record. It internally generates a key for every record. That is a unique key it maintains. So you don't need another primary key here. So to manipulate, you can manipulate on any. Another important is MongoDB supports data replications, which enable to handle load, which enable to handle the load. It supports data replications which enable to handle load. Actually, these days, several databases which are cloud-based databases are supporting. Actually, Mongo is not just database. Mongo is a cloud service. In that, they have database. So Mongo people have so many. In that, they have a database which you are learning. Just like I told you, Oracle is not database. What it is? ERP. Oracle is an ERP. It has so many things. In that, there is a database. Similarly, Mongo is not a database. Mongo have a database called MongoDB. Mongo is a big cloud service. They have so many cloud related services. In that, MongoDB is database. So MongoDB is database, but Mongo is not database. Mongo is a big cloud service. In that, they have database. So it is a very big cloud service. And usually these service people, cloud services support data replications. Data replications are very good for handling load balance. How they do is actually, see, generally what happens is, suppose we are having some business like some say Amazon. In this Amazon, they have a database is present. Amazon database is present. They are maintaining the data for their business. So we have a database of Amazon. Now what is this is, now this database have a capacity. Capacity like suppose it supports 1,000 users at a time. Now what happens is, that means, so the users are connecting and using it. And what is the database capacity is, it supports some 1,000 users at a time. It supports 1,000 users at a time. Now in some occasions, they give offers. They say that at 12 p.m. offer starts, and in 1 hour offer ends, 8 p.m. sales something. And during that hour, more people will come. Then it will crash. It cannot open. That leads to failure. You see this regularly everywhere. You are watching now cricket matches on OTT platforms. Suddenly at peak time, millions of people at a time try to watch. At peak time. Usually 1 crore people are watching, 2 crore people are watching, and at climax, it will be like 27 crore, 30 crore people are watching. Then suddenly your quality of video reduces. Sometimes it hangs up. Am I right? That is not good. Then how you are not providing good service? If video is hanging up, quality is reduced, you are disconnected often, then it's not good. That means what happens now is, this data replications, cloud-based people have this mechanism. What happens is, when more people are coming, it will duplicate a database, and through that it will provide access to others. It can replicate. It can replicate the data. So that is data replications. That means now it can balance the load. And whenever all are disconnecting, many people are disconnecting, now it will remove that replicate. If again now 1,000 users are there, then it will remove the replicate. When another 1,000 people are coming, and add one more replicate. So always on. Amazon people cannot do like OTT platforms. If they do that, they lose the business. They lose the business. For example, just basic point I will tell you. Currently, right now, how many people may be using Amazon? Right now, on the spot now, how many people may be using Amazon? How many people may be on Amazon worldwide? Millions of people. No? Millions of people may be now on Amazon. They are buying. Now imagine these million people. So for 5 minutes, stop placing order. They are unable to order because of server lack. They are unable to order. Server is not responding. They are unable to order. How much loss to Amazon? 5 minutes if doesn't works. In these 5 minutes, 1 million people, just say 1 million people, 1 million people stopped placing order of 1 rupee at least. 1 rupee order they stopped placing. Then how much? Somebody may be buying a mobile 20,000, 15,000. That means just for 5-10 minutes, if Amazon stops, their loss will be in 15,000 crores, 20,000 crores loss. Their loss will be like that. They cannot afford these kind of things. They need always data on, data replications. So these days, cloud technologies are providing them. Every database is having cloud. That means even Oracle, MySQL also can be on cloud. But this MongoDB has a built-in replication. What is advantage of this is it can replicate the data and manage the load. Data is always on. That is the concept of replications. So these are all some important features. But what is drawback of MongoDB? Drawback of MongoDB is semi-structured. It is semi-structured. It is not structureless. Due to that problem is, so issues. What is the issue is, issues with MongoDB is, one of the major issue is, it is structureless. And it is not having relational data. It is completely non-relational data. It is non-relational data. That means it's not relational data everywhere. It's not relational data. It is structureless and it is non-relational. So now the problem with structureless and non-relational data is actually it is not great for, so you can say, data predictions. It is not great for data predictions and analytics. It supports, but it is not very great in data predictions and analytics. Actually, data predictions and analytics are very important. And everywhere we don't need much analytics and predictions, but this is not very great. It supports, but it is not very good in that. Relational data is good in that. What is data predictions? Data predictions, data analytics is nothing but, actually you heard data science now. You know data science, and I think we discussed what is data science. Data science is prediction of data. Data science is prediction of data. One best example is, suppose a cricket match is going on. When a cricket match is going on, then they project the predictions. With this rate, if they bat, how many runs they can make. This is data science. That is data science. That means predictions. Analytic predictions are very important. that is not very great with MongoDB. They will work, but not great because it is not relational very much. So that is structureless. Due to that, it's not great in predictions and analytics. But any application that doesn't needs much predictions, much analytics, then this is enough. This is very good for such applications. Actually, majority of OTT means who generally use this is majority of OTT platforms. You see all OTT platforms, everybody's database is MongoDB. Everybody's database is MongoDB. Netflix uses MongoDB, Prime uses MongoDB, Disney, everybody's data is MongoDB. Why? Because you see Netflix. In Netflix, how much information is present about movie? Few details about movie. Who is the actor? Who is the director? What is the story? Simple, some details are present. It doesn't require much relations with others. In OTT platforms, what will be the search criteria? Very simple. Search by genre, search by director, search by language. Am I right? Other than that, what will be there? Nothing. There are no much relationships. There are no much complex analytics required. Simple analytics are enough. Simple analytics means you are watching certain type of movies. Next time it will recommend them. Am I right? Next time it will recommend similar type of movies. It says that, are you interested in these type of movies? That is limited analysis. This kind of data is completely maintained in MongoDB. These days, whatever OTT platforms you use, whatever streaming apps you use, like Spotify, like Geo7, all these MongoDB only. Their data is MongoDB because it is simple structureless. Simple structureless. That means you see uh, Netflix and others, when you watch, you see that every movie don't have same things. Like what? Every movie audio languages are same? No. Every movie related, so whatever facilities they provide, is it same for other movies also? No, it changes. But all information is related to movie, but every movie related information is not similar to another movie. Director will be there, actor will be there, storyline will be there, but rest of details we are not sure. Some will provide subtitles, some will not provide subtitles. In subtitles also, some will provide some languages, some will not provide those languages. Some will provide some audio languages, some will not provide audio language. We are not sure. This is completely structureless. Right? If it is structured, then all movies, same information should be there. Limited. That's not possible. What all OTTs use server-side Node.js database is MongoDB. Even YouTube also. That means YouTube server-side they use Node.js. All platforms, OTT platforms, audio, video streaming related any app uses Node.js as an server-side technology. Not Java, .NET, PHP, Python. They just use only Node.js. And database is MongoDB. For them, MongoDB is good. It have issues. It is not very great in analytics and all, warehouse and all, but it has good features. If you don't need much complex relationships, then you can better go with what? Database like MongoDB. So this is the basic overview about it, what it is and how it works. Now let's see how it works, how to set up MongoDB, how to use it, we will see that. So set up MongoDB on your PC, you have to do this. First, what you have to do is you have to download MongoDB community server. Actually, MongoDB provides lot of servers. All are not free. You cannot use them. You have to pay. And only community server is free. You have to download and get this MongoDB community server. Actually, this is the MongoDB community server. The link I will provide directly for the community. MongoDB community server directly. Yeah. This is the MongoDB community server direct link because MongoDB have so many. MongoDB is having so many and all are not suitable for you. You have to download this MongoDB community server from here. That is the URL. Because when you open direct MongoDB, you will be confused. You will install everything which is not necessary. That means if you directly visit MongoDB, you will be confused. You will never understand what to do. Right? So directly go here. Because as I told you, MongoDB is a cloud service. You will never understand their website. You don't know what you want. You can't even understand by seeing the website. So avoid directly going into MongoDB because you see MongoDB official. This is the MongoDB official. We will go to the MongoDB official site here. So this is the MongoDB official home site. This is the MongoDB home page. If you visit this, you will be just watching it. You can't do anything. You don't know what to do. Right? Because it is a big cloud service. It is a big cloud service. It's a paid one. You can never understand what to do here. So don't come here. Directly go to the page. Because it has so many products. They have so many products. MongoDB has so many things. Mongo has so many things. So don't think that MongoDB is only just database. It is having so many things. So you will be very much confused and you cannot get what you are looking for. So better what you do, get into this directly. Download community. Here, enterprise community servers will be there. You just download MongoDB community server. When you visit that URL I given to you, you will directly come here. The current version is this. According to your operating system, it will select what is suitable for you. You just download and install. You download and install. Downloading and installing MongoDB is simple. When you download, it will get you the complete MongoDB. In my PC, it is already installed. Just like MySQL, it is not complicated. It is very simple. It is very simple. When you open the setup, there is nothing to do. Only one work you have to do. Just like how you installed your Visual Studio Code, it will be like that. Simple. Only one step, next. That's it. You don't need to do anything. When you are installing, only one you have to do. What is that? So run the installer on your PC and select MongoDB Compass while installing. Only this you have to do. That is only one extra. That means it will come like with a simple checkbox. It will ask you, do MongoDB Compass? It is already checked. If not checked, you have to check. That's it. Nothing else you need to worry here. Just simply step by step. Next. That's it. It will set up everything for you. Only one option. Just select MongoDB Compass. MongoDB Compass is just like your MySQL workbench. MongoDB Compass is like MySQL workbench. Actually, MongoDB Compass, MongoDB earlier, older versions, we used to run in a different way, but now it is completely changed. You have only one thing to do. You download and install with MongoDB Compass. You see, once it is downloaded successfully, when I run this, when it is installing MongoDB for you, so you just follow step-by-step process, accept the terms, set up everything. You just click complete whatever is there. And when I select complete, so it will install everything for you. You see, you don't need to do anything. Just click on next. Here, this checkbox you have to select. That's only the thing you have to do, nothing else. So once it is done, it is installed successfully on your PC. Finish. There will be no steps again, no configuration, nothing. There will be no configuration, nothing. Just install a package. That's it. Just like you installed your Visual Studio Code, it will be like that. Only one checkbox you have to select, MongoDB Compass. The checkbox also selected. If not selected, select. Separately downloading Compass is very risky. So version issues will come. So while downloading itself, installing itself, you select it. Okay. Once you do that, that means you have MongoDB Compass and everything ready. What you have to do is, once it is installed, you have to start MongoDB server from services. In your Windows, in your computer services, you will have MongoDB server. You have to start the MongoDB server. You see, we have a services app. Go to the services app. In the services app, you will find here in the list, you will find MongoDB. You will see here MongoDB is there. This is MongoDB server and it is not running currently. This will happen because you are using multiple databases in your PC. Sometimes one server will stop another server. That will happen regularly. That is the reason what you do is you just make sure that it is running. How? Right click and start. When you right click and start, it will start the server. And once the server is started, it is running. Every day you don't need to do this, but we are not sure. Sometimes what happens, because you are running so many softwares and other servers, what will happen because you are using so many, what will happen suddenly? Some server will stop. That's the reason, make sure that you are starting the server, right? Once server is started, now important point is MongoDB server runs on following IP location. It will be MongoDB://127.0.0.27017. This is the IP location. So MongoDB server will be running in this location. So MongoDB server will be running in this location. MongoDB server will be running in this location. So the server will be running at this location 127.0.1.27017. It is a standard fixed IP address for every computer. In every computer, MongoDB server IP is fixed. It is the same IP address everywhere. And every technology needs this address to communicate with MongoDB. Suppose from Java, .NET, Python, Node.js, you want to connect with MongoDB, this is the address of MongoDB. MongoDB have this IP address. It will be running on this location. So you need to make sure that you know this address every. Actually, this IP address can be like this also. Sometimes it will be like what? MongoDB:/ instead of 127. You know, your web applications also run on same server, but port number is different. No? You learned in Visual Studio Code. What is your port number for web apps? 5500. Huh? Here it will be, it can be local host word also. 27017. You can use the word local host or you can use the IP address. That is the fixed IP address. Local server computer address will be this. So we can just run this. Right. So here you see, once we are starting the server, now we need to connect to the server. So what you have to do is open MongoDB Compass. Open MongoDB Compass on your PC. So Compass is nothing but, so what is this Compass? So it is a GUI tool for managing MongoDB. It is a GUI tool for managing your MongoDB. Just like you have MySQL Workbench. It is a GUI tool. Actually, what you done in MySQL is to connect with server, you need a username password. Username is root. Password is what you given. Here directly IP address. To connect with server, you need the IP address. So what you have to do, open this MongoDB Compass. This is MongoDB Compass. MongoDB Compass, when it is installed on your PC, it looks like this. This is MongoDB Compass. In this MongoDB Compass, already you see, I have some connections. I will remove this first. Huh? Right. Usually you will find the Compass tool like this. It have a add new connection. Click on add new connection. It is asking URL. What is the URL? You have to type that. So MongoDB:/. What is it? So 127.0.0.127.017. That is the standard fixed address of that. You have to type this. And you click on save and connect. So that next time onwards it is saved, you can just use it. Save and connect, then it is connected. And once it is connected, it is already showing some databases I am having. That means all the databases what I have, it is showing. It is showing. So usually by default, when you log in, by default some databases is provided. Default system databases will be there. 3 databases will be there. One is admin, another config, another local. 3 databases will be there. Right? So actually, you don't need to know about these databases. They are not required for you. They are for administrations. So first point is, how do you connect? So after open MongoDB, create new connection. with the following address. Already address I given above. Create new connection with following address. Then connect and save. Connect and save. This connection will fail. Usually connection will fail. Generally connection is going to fail if server not started. Make sure that first server is running. You will get an error called connection refused. Connection refused error means server not running. Make sure that server is running, right? Now here, once you are connected, how to work with MongoDB, we will see. What are the concepts here? So how do we deal with MongoDB and all? So first point is you need to know some terminology. So you need to understand MongoDB terminology. MongoDB terminology is different from SQL terminology because it is not using SQL language. It is different terminology. Actually, I will give a comparison with your MySQL, what you have done with MySQL and what is in what MongoDB. Simple point here. Actually, where the data is kept in MySQL, data is present in database. So MongoDB also keeps the data in database. So here in MySQL, one more name is there for database. What is it? One more name is there, that is schema. Another name for database is schema, but here it is database. In MySQL, you will have a schema or database, which is actually the location where we keep the data. In MongoDB, there is only database. We have just database. In database, data is kept in tables. In database, data is kept in tables. Here we don't have tables, collections. MongoDB don't have tables. MongoDB don't have table concept. They don't have tables. MongoDB calls the tables as what? Collection. MongoDB have collection. It is not having tables. So that means we don't have tables here. We have collections. And in table, data is stored in rows. That means actually in table, data is in a record, or you call it as what? Row, right? Here we call as document. That means database have a collections. In the collections, data is in documents. Every row is considered as a document. You will not have rows anymore here. You will have only document. That means the record is considered as a document. You will not have any word like row, right? And actually here every row have a field. Here also fields. Fields are same. Actually, your data is in the how data format is later I will explain. Actually, this field is nothing but it is like a key in your objects. Because so this document is not present like a row, it is present like a JSON. Here we call this as BSON. That means you in JavaScript, you will come across with the concept of JSON, JavaScript Object Notation. Here we have BSON, Business Object Notation. Actually, BSON has so many more binaries, formats, so much is there. I will explain about BSON separately. Here in JSON, you know already in JSON, data is present as an object, am I right? Object will have a key and a value. Same here also. That means in MongoDB, data is in this format. Data is in this format. So it is like an JavaScript object. It is like a JavaScript object with a key and a value. Key and value. So here you will have fields. Actually, you have joins. In your MySQL, you have joins. Here we call them embedded documents. Embedded documents. Here you don't have any views. We don't have any views or triggers like concept. But they are not suitable everywhere. They are used in enterprise-based edition. We are currently using community. Here you don't have views. You don't have the concept of constraints. Primary key constraints, foreign key constraints, unique key constraints. We don't have. Then how you manage the data? That is why it is completely schemaless, structureless. Then how you manage, you will see how it manages its data. So this MongoDB, entire MongoDB works with these terms only. That means the database, inside database, it will have collections. Tables are called as collections. And inside collection, data is in documents. Document will have a key and value. And actually, people who know JavaScript, for them, it is very simple to handle MongoDB because MongoDB uses all JavaScript data types. MySQL have separate data types, var, char, integer, decimal, but here same JavaScript data types. You know, JavaScript have primitive and non-primitive types like number, string, boolean, null, undefined, symbol like types. And non-primitive means array, objects, maps. Here also will be similar. I will give a list what it is having. That means what are the types it is having. But important, the terms in MongoDB are these. So we have database, collections, document, field, and embedded document. Now we will see how do we work with the MongoDB. Actually, whenever you are working with MongoDB, two options are same. In MySQL also, we use MySQL with the concept of workbench. In the workbench, we opened a query window. Actually, you can also install MySQL client tool. Client tool is a command line tool. Through command line tool, you can run the commands and you can test the commands. But the best way, simple way at learning level, as I showed you in the workbench, here MongoDB also have a shell, Mongo shell. Graphically, you can work or you can run through the commands. For that, you have a Mongo shell. So here one important point is MongoDB, MongoDB Compass provides. So one is GUI. So for handling database and its objects graphically, and it provides shell, Mongo SH. Actually, it is a Mongo shell, which is a CLI tool, command line tool. Command line tool, which is a CLI tool, command line tool. So from this command line tool also you can manipulate the data. So it is important to learn all the commands here because it is not using any SQL commands. It has simple commands to use. So here MongoDB Compass, when you open and log in here, you see, as I told you already, when you are working with MongoDB, you see right side, the DB shell is available, MongoDB shell. Graphically here it is there, everything you can do. That means you see plus button. What is this plus button? Create a database, create a collection. You can manage everything graphically without writing any command. But commands are important for developer. Why? Because we communicate with the database from other technologies. Then you need to communicate only through commands. Commands are important. For that you can open this shell. When you open this shell, this is the Mongo shell. The Mongo shell allows you to run the commands and test the commands. All the queries you can test inside this Mongo. And learning MongoDB is about learning all the commands for creating databases, creating collections, adding data into it, querying it, updating, deleting. Here also same CRUD operations we have to learn, but for that different commands are available. So the basic first important is whenever you log in the Mongo shell. So here we have to learn about Mongo shell, Mongo shell commands. You need to learn about these Mongo shell commands. The Mongo shell commands are important. One by one, we will learn these commands, how to create database, manage everything we will learn. The basic first important is to view existing databases. To view existing databases, you have to run the command show dbs. You have to run the command show dbs. To view the existing databases on server, what databases are there, just you have to run show dbs. And remember, MongoDB shell is case sensitive. Capitalization matters, just like JavaScript. Exactly the same capitalization you have to use. Any mismatch in the capitalizations, it will not work. Capitalization matters in MongoDB. So here you just run show dbs and it will get you the list of all databases. That means what are all the databases available, it will give you the list of all database. Actually, so the default databases of MongoDB server. So we have databases like admin and we have config and local. These are three basic databases. You don't need them. These are for administration. For administration, they need these databases. You don't need to worry about this. But these are the default databases. Whatever else are, they are custom. We created databases. That means in my PC, you can see the list of so many databases are there. These are all created by ourselves manually. So the databases by default, you will have an admin config. Another one is what? Local. Those are only the databases, right? And important CLS is to clear the screen every time. That means you can clear the screen. So to clear screen, you have to run the command CLS to recall the recently used commands. Use up and down arrow. To recall recently used commands, you have to use up and down arrow. Recently used commands. You just use up and down arrows in the shell so that you can get the latest what you use. So that is the basic. So that means you use up down arrows, it will get you the latest commands it is having. You can get the latest commands what we have used. It keeps a history. It keeps a history of some commands. You can get that history and you can use those commands. Up and down arrows are used for switching between them. You don't need, later it will be helpful for that. As of now, you don't need that. Next important is once you know this, now we will learn how to create databases and all. That we'll see tomorrow. First you need to set up this. Then in tomorrow's session, we will start working with this. Creating database, adding tables, how to design tables and all. Same what you learned in MySQL, similar you have to learn here. But this time it will be little easy because already you know the concepts. You should learn only the commands. How do we design? That we'll see in tomorrow's session. Okay, right.